Like fly there.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's regular board meeting, Monday, April 20, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have met compliance with all official notifications. Roll call, please.
Shelley Mullen.
Here.
Nick Olson.
Here.
Sarah Schubert-McCone.
Here.
Laura Gapsky. Kathy Germán.
Here.
Virtual. Nick Schumacher here. President Steve Olson.
Here. We have no comments by members of the public. However, at last Monday's meeting on the 13th, Kyle Smith, who was in attendance tonight and who did not bring us treats like he brought in himself. Just kidding.
Thanks, Kyle.
We like to have fun. Spoke on the teacher salary increase and stuff. We appreciate that Kyle was here to give us an update on that salary increase. Disposition of minutes from March 16, 2026. Oh, I am sorry. We forgot the budget.
Pretty hard.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not only did I forget that, but then I forgot what I'm supposed to read at the beginning.
Oh, no, I was like, actually, I feel like something was missing. I didn't know.
It's really missing tonight, Olson. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by signing up on the public comment sign-up sheet by the entrance prior to the start of the meeting. The board requests refraining from making any comments involving personally identifiable information about students, staff, or administration. Comments should be respectful, focused on the items being considered by the board, and will be restricted to 3 minutes in length. And that's what I'm supposed to go to. Comments by members of the public, we have none. Disposition for minutes from March 16, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion the second to approve the minutes from March 16, 2026. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report from our superintendent. Do you want to take that around too?
Can. Let's see, last week we did hear from Mr. Jensen and he gave a Great Lakes update. Tonight we have Superintendent, Principal Haroldson. Principal Haroldson to give us an update about the high school. Welcome.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. So, yeah, this is probably not as long as my ones at Great Lakes. I haven't dug into the data quite as much my short time at the high school, but just want to provide some brief updates. The first one, actually, I think I was talking to Amy last week, and there were some questions about the anti-vape presentation. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. When Amy said that, I'm like, not sure which group is doing it. Well, my research led me to find out that our Pledge Makers group is going to be presenting some anti-vape material to all the Keystone classes at the high school, the freshman group. Focus is going to be on impact of commercial nicotine and tobacco on students and families. They're going to be sharing some resources that are available in the community in the case any of the students need help if they're having some struggles with that. And then they're going to do an impact activity. It was described to me as they're going to write an anonymous impact card describing their experiences with tobacco, nicotine use, or the tobacco, nicotine use of others, like that they, whether it be friends or family, and how it has impacted them. That is next Monday, April 27th. I'll probably try to get down and check some of that out, but that was just an informational item that I think.
Thank you for looking into that. Yeah.
So that's what that's about. Celebrations, I'll start with that. A lot of celebrations. The high school, as I've said since day one, it's got a wonderful staff. As you're going to see, there's some great work that's underway. We're just trying to put this all together. Some celebrations I do want to share. The first piece is our internal attendance process. One of the struggles as I was transitioning to the high school with Kate was kids just walked in kind of 20, what would you say, 20, 25 minutes late, first hour, kids were not getting on time to class. Amy had come to me and said, Ryan, can we move this tardy time from 15 minutes after the bell to 5 minutes after the bell? I said, certainly we can. But
And that actually came out at the staff listening session.
yeah,
So-
right. No, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I was there in December too.
Yep.
So I said, that's fine, but we're gonna need to have some process for kids that are still gonna violate this, knowing that it would happen. So basically we put together a process. It does include like some lunch detentions if they get the 5 or the 10 tardies. The premise of that is to make up the time you're missing. Eventually it ends up resulting in an ordinance violation where they have to go and talk to the court commissioner. The court commissioner's been very supportive of that. I mean, just trying to make sure that some of the kids that get to that level are getting educated on why it's important to be in class. You can see prior to the policy implementation up there, those numbers are the tardies we had per day. So if you look at our high point in December, we've come down about 49%. We've cut those tardies in half. I haven't looked at April's data yet, but that's just one celebration we've had. I'm really hoping in the fall, some of these little things that we would just expect of kids will not be a conversation we're having much of anymore. In fact, the other piece I will say, when this started, it was a little bit overwhelming because it's like, oh my God, we have to follow through because we had some lunch detention lists that were quite long. We're down to like between 2 and 6 kids in lunch detention at this point. So it's not in the lunch detention too, like Andy Gronsky did it. I know some of our admin team have done it. We try to educate them, figure out why we're not getting to class. So I mean, that's part of it too, having that conversation. I put up there an improved phone policy. I feel like we started off in February when we adjusted our policy, it was a lot better. I've been hearing in like some of our department meetings or even just some individual conversations with teachers, we might need to kind of come back around to that and push in a little bit. It's maybe gotten a little bit lax in some spots. That's important because I think it's limited some of the congregating that we had going on in the bathrooms. So I think some of the vaping was linked to that. So that's kind of a success. Now, next year, a year from now, I don't really want to be talking to you about basic things like phone and attendance, but like we got to get these things addressed first because it's really frustrating for teachers when these things are going on. Like the attendance, when I got there, it's like I might as well even start teaching until 10 minutes in. Well, we can't really have that. It's a lot of instructional time, if kids aren't getting there. So that's improved. Another celebration, and I probably will have this document available to share with you in the fall. We're working on our mission, vision, commitments, like getting consensus on that document. So March and April, I drafted up some things this is our school's mission, our school's vision. It is connected to the district mission, vision, values, but it's a little bit more specific to like what our teachers and our paras are doing day to day. So I drafted it up based on a lot of individual conversations I was having. Teachers have all had a chance to go through it, provide feedback. I'm using AI a little bit too to help me kind of redraft the mission and vision. This Friday, I'm hoping we're going to look at whether we've got consensus on it. When I say consensus, I'm looking on a scale of 5, are a majority of my people at a 3, meaning I can live with this document, a 4, I strongly support this document, or better yet, a 5, I will champion this document. This isn't just a piece of paper on a wall. It's something we need to be able to go back to and needs to be a living, breathing document for the decisions and things we make moving forward. Lastly, I want to talk about some systems and structure work. A lot of this is not in place yet, but it's all planning for the fall. Floor-based leadership model. What that basically means is we are in the process of moving our APs and our deans out of the main office and finding them office spaces on the floors. I know when Kate came in, when I came in, we've talked a lot, Heidi, about just being out in the hallways and being visible and accessible, which is always a balancing act because there's a lot of administrative things need to happen that are behind closed doors. But I know the teachers, I've had them just make some remarks that they like having that access out there. So we are looking at moving them to different locations on the floors, probably a little similar to the middle school. The only issue is our high school really wasn't set up for that. So we're kind of having to do some makeshift things, but I give the APs a lot of credit in that. They're very on board with it and have helped me problem solve some of that stuff. Advisory reset. We are going to be resetting our advisory structure. which is very good, but I think we're a little bit inconsistent in terms of delivering like core curriculum for like our social emotional learning, which I think is an important piece. We talk about like executive functioning skills, teaching kids how to become adults. We're going to be doing kind of a reset of that, and that'll be something I can talk more about in the fall once that's underway. The R&R room, the reset and return room, taking a page out of Mr. Lieber's book, to hopefully be able to get kids some DBT skills and access without writing as many referrals and getting them back to class. Right now, our system for behavior is pretty reactive. Like we need to get some systems in place that maybe can bring those referral levels down, give kids more immediate support. Senior mentors is coming back. Mark Campbell and Jackie Olson, two awesome veteran teachers. We were talking about like systems of support for behavior and mental health. And they came to me and said, hey, we did this years ago. It kind of fell apart during COVID. So Steve, that's been well received. I've been telling staff, like making this building a great place. Sometimes it means going back in time and pulling some practices that maybe have gone away from the past. I'm looking at Steve because Steve and Bill and Kent and all those gentlemen that were up there working had some good things. Some of it is that, but the other piece of it is we need to look, there's some progressive things that we want to do because our situation is probably a little bit different. So it's combining those things. Core teacher interventionists, we did make some classes for next school year a little bit bigger. When I say bigger, I'm talking mid to high 20s, nothing like out of control. What it's going to do is it's going to free up some of our teachers to do some tier 2 intervention for kids that aren't showing mastery of like the essential standards. Really excited about that, to get some of that in place. Those are some celebrations. We've got challenges too. And I think we're kind of in the same conversation, like moving into next year, like a hard reset on processes. I talked about the attendance a little bit. When we get to next school year, I think like writing referrals and communicating to parents is something, at least when I've gotten emails and things from parents, we could maybe do a little bit better job with and be a little bit more systematic with. Talking about like criteria for things like emergency calls in the classroom, making sure we're using our resources appropriately, I guess. I think sometimes our deans are getting pulled into some things that maybe aren't as high of a priority as the more serious things they need to deal with. Guidelines and processes, been spending some time with the department chairs on some of these things, the field trips, making sure we're kind of doing an audit. The kids are out of the building a lot is something I've noticed. So we're doing an audit of field trips, like in looking at connection to the curriculum. Does it have to be every year or can it be every other year? I don't want to take opportunities away, but just making sure we're a little bit, I guess, more diligent with that. And does every student have equitable access to it? So I know in some cases we probably are fundraising for those and kids are getting equitable access. In other cases, it's up to the parent's family to pay. And we've got want to make sure every kid has an opportunity to do those things if they're connected to the curriculum. Fiscal cleanup. I just met with David last week, but just trying to get our budget lines to read more accurately. I think it's been a long time since the budget lines at the high school have been relooked at and redone. So we're working on that. Even making some adjustments to how we do things with updating stipends, or there might be some things with how we do classroom coverage that if we do it a little differently, we could save a little money. So that piece is going on. Like I talked about, lessening the burden on our tier 2 resources we do have. This kind of ties in with the processes and procedures, like maybe doing an audit of how we write referrals or when we write referrals that need to be handled by the deans. Some of it is like the processes we use for kids to access the counselors. I just think if we clean that up, we can use those people more efficiently for some of our higher level behavior supports. Last thing, maintaining what has traditionally made our high school grades, like keep the number of course offerings, including those AP classes. My understanding is we are still one of the high schools on the higher end of those offerings. So even with some of the fiscal challenges, we want to make sure we're keeping those great opportunities for our kids and, leading the area and hopefully the state. So, that's kind of where we're at. CPR card, I got the link on there. I wasn't involved in this in August. I look forward to being involved in this when we get to, oh, you're gonna take me away from my talking points, though. Can you go back to that real quick? People can look at that. So the building goal is done on math. So basically focus on increasing overall math achievement overall, and also within some subgroups like the low socioeconomic status and students who have special needs. Couple points, the team has done excellent work, like in terms of monitoring and coaching our teams on their PLC processes, the way they're working in teams, analyzing data, making instructional decisions. And when Ann does put that back up, we're working on the system. So go ahead and put it up there, Ann, because it has that piece in there. Scroll down just a little bit. So if you see the part where it says creating a plan for reviewing EMLSS guidebook and developing tier 2 learning plan for all instructional staff, we are working feverishly to get all that stuff on the table. And we are going to have some adjustments to our system, and I can't wait to come in and show you the diagram and what that looks like in the fall. But like, we're trying to get everything on the table. Like when I talked about Mark and Jackie, like they came to me, it's like, we need to move on this now, because when it gets to be summertime, I want to make sure this is moving so we can start putting it together. Down the road, I think we'll probably have a task force as soon as the fall to look at schedule structures for the future, because I'm not sure if we're set up as good as we can be, even in the master schedule yet. That's not a change I can make next year because the schedule is already underway, but we'll have some further conversation on that. Sorry, it's a lot. I'm just kind of giving you a rundown on where we're at. It's a great school. Just looked at the rankings the other day. We're on target to be number 1 in the state, Amy, right?
That's right.
Right.
I have no doubt.
I'm very proud of the folks I inherited, and look forward to hopefully what'll be many years of work to come and make it in a good place. Any questions or anything for me?
Can you talk a little bit more about the scheduling sketch or task?
Yeah, like this task force?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what that's kind of about. And I'm kind of going off of, I get a lot of stories from staff members like, oh, we were looking at this like 5 years ago or whatever. So we talk about like giving core instruction, like tier 1 instruction, those essential standards in ELA, for example. And we talk about a system so kids get automatic access to additional time and support if they didn't master that essential. I'm not sure that our current traditional structure sets that up as well as it could. So it might be looking at blocks. It might be looking like a hybrid, a block skinny schedule. It's going to be pulling in some other ideas from other high schools. I don't even know that we will make a change necessarily. I do know they did have some conversation about that. And I don't know if Steve was still there or not, but I know talking to like Jason Kalin, Andy Wolf, and some of them, it sounds like around COVID, they were really close to making some changes that just kind of fizzled away because we were dealing with that piece. So task force would just be a conversation.
Sure.
I don't even know if it's the best.
I mean, right now we have a pretty traditional master
Right,
schedule.
right.
And so I think your point is bringing staff together to see if you've exhausted all those options and we're doing
Right.
the best that we can and maximizing our resources.
And I also think too, like some of the stuff we're putting in, it'll give just a little taste of what this could look like. And I mean, if it's going well in those pockets, maybe we can come up with some ways to make it even more systematic,
Sure.
automatic, I guess. Yeah.
And I think you have enough veteran teachers yet in the building that have had conversations about block scheduling, about skinnies. So it'll be interesting to, gather that information back from them. And
Yep. It actually came up at the department meeting in March. I think there's mixed views, which is why we need to talk, through it. I mean, there are some people like, yeah, put me straight blocks, and others that would say never, but maybe there's some, some
Hybrid of some
compromise
sort,
points.
yeah.
And there are. I mean, there are models out there, and I don't really care for Hudson too much, but I know I know they do have
Oh my.
a couple. They do have a couple skills and ideas that I'm willing to listen to, but I think that's just things we need to look at.
senior mentors know what will be the process? How are we going to choose?
Yeah, okay, so here's the process right now, and actually Mark and Jackie, I pretty much told them last Thursday, get started. This is a great idea. They had a DVD and some presentations they had done. They are reaching out to teachers, I believe with the criteria, and teachers are gonna start populating that with the current junior class. Once they get that, they were gonna send this back out again to staff to make sure we're hitting. They
Right.
gotta be good. I mean, the thing of this too is it doesn't just benefit the freshmen that they're like working with and coaching. It benefits the senior, because some of these, kids, based on past experiences, have become social workers and teachers. And, they gave me a couple specific examples, and so that's where we're at right now, Steve. I mean, I just gave them the go-ahead to kick this into gear last week. I was super excited about it. It's just taking a page from the past playbook that I think needs to come back. I don't know all the reasons why it went away, but I'm excited, and staff are excited too. I brought it up at the SLT meeting, and there were a lot of like, all right, like we're maybe making some progress here.
I think COVID and changes in leadership are your primary reasons why
Yeah.
some things got
Well,
lost.
COVID,
Yeah.
I think, is the reason the scheduling
Yeah.
piece, some of the system piece died out, and here we are 6 years later, and we got to come back around. So, yeah. Other
Well,
questions?
thank you. Very
You said
comprehensive.
DVD, what is that?
Oh, it was a DVD. It was just. Oh, no.
VHS tape.
Yeah, anyways, though, great group. I'm honored and privileged to work with them. So if you have any other questions, email me or call me, and I'll try to answer wherever I can. All right?
Ryan, I just want to say
Thank you,
thank you. You know, this, I feel like, not that other principals don't, but
Right.
that you really listen to teachers and get input, and they feel like they have a voice from what I've heard from.
Yeah,
number.
I'm trying. It's also balancing too in a building that big, trying to, like, we gotta do some things kind
Right.
of while we're listening. I mean, it's
Yeah,
simultaneously, but I'm also impatient as can be, and I'm like, I mean, there are some things that need to be different next year, and we're
Yeah.
doing what I think we can without like, because some of the bigger stuff, it's culturally, we need to talk more. Schedule something
Yep.
we can't
Yep.
do right now, so.
yeah, you can't get everything done, but I think
Yeah.
they know that you're listening, and I think that's super
Appreciate
important,
that.
so I appreciate it.
I'm trying to. All right.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Steve, I have one more. Our student rep wasn't able to join us tonight, so I'm going to skip to Caitlin. You've got a quick update for us. I know we primarily wanted to hear about a recap of Superior Days, but we know that you got a lot of things too.
Okay, so yeah, I did hear maybe mostly Superior Days, but also maybe a few other things. So I have a little bit about several things, and we'll kind of go through that. And if there's things we need to talk more about or you have questions about, I'm happy to do that as well. So starting with Superior Days, this year we ended up having 9 Superior High School students present at Superior Days. So a little bit smaller group than the year past, but definitely a solid group of students who represented us very well. And who I think would have done all of you proud if you were able to see them in action. So very similar to past Superior Days events, students participated in a full day of legislative lobby meetings. So depending on what team they were on, they had various meetings with different legislators or representatives from their offices. They also attended some agency meetings, one in particular that we mandated they all attend was the meeting with DPI. So they were all present for that. A few other experiences and things. They had lunch with Representative Stroud and Green. You can see that picture in the middle was after the lunch. So they were able to, hear on a slightly more direct scale from them and be able to ask questions and engage in some conversations with them. One of our students, Jack, introduced Governor Evers when he came to speak with the group. So several cool experiences that way for our students. We had a mix of new students and returning students, which is always nice to see, especially if we're able to, now that we've been able to go a few years in a row, we have some students who are able to kind of step in and lead from those experiences and kind of help the newer students out who might not be as familiar with how things work and what to expect. So that was good.
Can I mention one thing?
Yeah.
We had we weren't originally planning to go, just as a reminder. We were thinking we would go maybe every other year during the budget season. That's probably the most impactful time to go, but then we had someone who offered to pay for a smaller delegation of students to go. So just a reminder, that's how that's why we had a smaller group this year.
Yeah. So we, so, and that's why, it was, numbers wise and also kind of the last minute nature of it. The UW Extension and the county found some money and had a few spots for some of our students.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I think questions or other thing, I mean, I think that kind of captures most of it, but anything it feels like I've left out about that experience.
Just thinking about next year, because it will be then, so what are the thoughts, or how can we support without putting additional stress on already a very tight budget? Because I would like to see it continue. I've seen it firsthand make a big difference. And I think it also helps educate the community about what public schools, how it's funded and what it looks like down in Madison. So.
I mean, my goal is to utilize David again to try to get some sponsorships. I think that just gets a little bit challenging. It was a little bit of a challenge last year because not necessarily all the businesses that we approached really supported the platform that was being pushed forward by Superior Days. So I think they were struggling a little bit. They wanted the kids to have experience, but they were like,
Gotcha.
it's not necessarily the narrative that we are personally, advocating for. So that was unique and a very, reasonable issue. And so I think we just got to balance that again.
Yeah.
I think that's our plan. And there were some grants and some other opportunities that we'll tap into. It's about $10,000 to send our students down there. So when you consider the transportation, the hotel and all of that.
I mean, I like the bigger group, but I also think, 9 sounds reasonable and less chaperones. And it is important for them to hear from students, even if we're not on doing the same topics as Superior Days Committee.
And the Superior Days Committee likes having our students there. Like
Yeah.
they add a lot of value and they're always well prepared too. So
Yeah, they are.
getting them prepared.
I would like to say especially ours.
Yes.
They're very
I think
yeah.
our-
Last year was a huge
First-hand
factor.
experience.
Those poor kids.
Yeah. So, and I think, the hope too, like this year, obviously it was a little bit last minute. We didn't think we were going to be able to send them. And, so I think especially having a few that had got previously helped, they were able to help get some of those new students up to speed. But I think, we were fortunate last year that a couple of things fell into place. One, that Superior Days, adopted school funding as one of their issues. And that we knew about that ahead of time. Because sometimes with the actual Superior Days organization, like their timeline doesn't always get the information out super far ahead of time to delegates. But knowing that that was one of the issues and that, obviously the write-up and the information was coming from us, I was able to start prepping students and working with them, earlier, which then obviously is a benefit to everyone. So hopefully that will be able to happen again next year if all things go as planned.
Right. You do a really nice job. Thank you.
Couple other things, I'll try and keep it brief, but a few updates senior project wise. We are, as I'm sure Heidi will attest, living in we have 60 more of them this year and it is almost May, and that does not mean that 60 more of them finish their project in the fall. That means that almost 60 more of them are trying to finish their project now. So we are in the thick of that for sure, but we will get them all there. It will happen. We have one final big presentation night, May 6th during the Spartan Fiesta. So if anyone wants to come join us and talk to some kids about their projects, we'll have all of them that are on the list right now are there, about 55 or so, set up to talk about their projects. So just a little plug for that. You can see some great artwork. You can see some senior projects. You can
Manufacturing has their open house too.
So, just a little recap, a little reminder of how this is set up. You see in that picture a couple examples of students sharing what they did. All students do career research and community service. So they talk about both of those components during their presentation, whichever presentation option they choose. And then obviously we work to build experiences 9-12 that lead them up to that final experience in their senior year. So various career exploration opportunities, people coming into the building, opportunities to go out into the community, and then obviously their community service that's required each year. So that's the idea being that we build up to that senior year experience where they then kind of do that deep dive into some of those things. We're also gearing up for the class of 2027. In May, I'll be meeting with all of our juniors to talk about kind of where they're at, what needs to happen in the next 12 months or so in order to make sure they're ready for graduation. So this is kind of the overlap time of year, and there's a lot going on, but there's a lot of kids getting a lot of stuff done. So that's exciting to see. And that kind of leads into just a couple ACP, academic and career planning updates. We had 11 at least of our career experience days. So those are days off campus where we visit, local employers, education institutions, things like that based on different career clusters. So we just did one not too long ago around business and marketing. So we went to Maurice's. We spent about an hour and a half with various staff from Maurice's talking about, their business and marketing and different careers in that field, and then visited UWS and Fond du Lac that day to learn about some post-secondary training options too. So students get to sign up for those based on interest to kind of explore more. We had 65 different guests represented at our 3 career fairs this year. Some people attended more than one. We had some groups and organizations that were at multiple fairs, some that were just at one. But that's, 65 different guests and organizations and employers and education institutions that were present right in the school for students. And then we're currently in the process of doing kind of a audit and update of some of our career readiness work using the updated career readiness standards that were released this year. So we've done some work on some universal experiences that we know students have. And then on Friday, our departments are going to start the process of looking at some of those standards within the context of what's happening in some different classes and different departments, so that we have an updated vision of what that looks like and can identify some gaps and things that we need to do some work around next year. That's where we're at with that.
Busy spring.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on in high school,
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
Well, thank you for the updates. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all for my report.
All right, we will move on to our committee report. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to move the budget and insurance to the first report.
Bye, y'all. Thank you. I'll make a motion to move into the first report.
Second.
Motion and second to move the budget insurance to the first committee report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, I'd like to welcome meeting tonight members of Marsh McLennan Agency, who will be providing a presentation about the health insurance premium. Welcome.
Thoughts in our meet is actually virtual. And then Jenna's going to run with a quick presentation on the health insurance renewal.
Bob, aren't you supposed to be on vacation?
Well, I am working remote from Florida for 2 or 3 weeks, but I will be back in Superior. I come and go as business dictates, and
Yep.
right now that's where you'll find me, is in Florida. But
Oh, darn.
I'd like to make some
Alright.
I'd like to make some introductory comments before my colleagues that are with me tonight, Jen Champa at the podium and Jen Cisco. We're facing a very challenging health insurance renewal from Medica. We've had this on our radar and have been closely following this along.
Did he hit mute?
There. Hello, can you hear me okay?
There, it should be good.
I don't know, somehow, maybe someone hit that. You can talk. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Oh, this is weird.
Hold on a second, Bob, while they fix the speakers here.
The days aren't good there.
Hope it's not sweaty.
Testing?
I just, can you say something again, Bob?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Better.
This.
And you move that volume.
Is this any better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is better. Can everybody hear me?
There.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. We've been working on this since January. And to give you a little bit of historical background, when Medica became the carrier 2 years ago, the attractive feature was the narrow network product that favors Essentia. That provides a 20% discount and a 20% reduction in premium versus the network that they offer for the employees to go anywhere that they want virtually. Unfortunately, Medica is really in a deficit position on claims that have been paid out versus premiums that have been collected. In 2024, that deficit was about a $200,000 delta. In 2025, that's escalated to $2.3 million. So we've known that, for lack of a better word, the claims experience has been running hot. We've looked at 7 different fully insured carriers, 2 different self-funded options. We've looked at a variety of different funding mechanisms and different risk sharing arrangements, from healthcare reimbursement accounts to self-funding. And where we've landed on this with Medica, we really are not finding, unfortunately, better options in the marketplace. After a very extensive review of the marketplace, what we're looking at is unfortunately a 38.3% increase in premiums. We feel that the products that the employees are allowed to select from, the 2 Medica options and the HSA plan design, that still is the best plan design for the employees versus some of the other options that we explored. But Jen is going to take you through 6 or 7 slides here tonight that show you how we got to where we are at. But the one thing that I would say is, if Medica had an opportunity to do it over, they 2 years ago probably would have started their premiums 10 to 12% higher than where they came into the group. Year 2, they had a 12% rate cap. They could not adjust their premiums any higher than 12%. So the combination thereof, starting their premiums at probably 10 to 12% lower than they should have, then having a 12% rate cap. And then on top of that, the perfect storm is we've got a significant amount of claim activity. Those three items combined put us in the spot that we're in terms of a deficit. We've got a few solutions from a health.
Hold on, Bob.
You lost again.
What a stinker. Healthy cord.
Thanks for that. Do we need to donate?
Where's Dan?
Come on, it should be.
Didn't do anything.
David? Hello?
Say something
Hello?
There we go.
Hello?
Good to go.
Okay. I've kind of made most of the introductory comments that I wanted to make. I'm going to have Jen guide you through how we got to where we are at, what this looks like on paper in terms of the spreadsheet that she has prepared. And we are certainly here to answer all of your questions tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen.
Thanks, Bob.
Second, we're gonna bring that presentation up. There we go. As Bob mentioned, I'm Jen Chapa. With me is Jen Cisco. We both service the district's benefits and assist the administration with their day-to-day duties and servicing, and obviously the renewal, how that shakes out. Go to the next slide, please. Is the clicker? Oh, that's right. Sorry. Who said that? Oh, there it is.
You have the power.
You always have. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So a quick recap. I rounded up. I don't know if that's probably the scary number, 39. It is 38.3%. We first. There was some decrease in enrollment over the last year. Both in subscribers, which are employees, and members overall. To give you an idea, I believe, like Bob said, your premium paid was about just over 5 million, between 5 and 5.5 million, and your claims were at 7. You had 31 high cost claims. These are claims totaling 50,000 or more in that last 12-month period. And 28 are still active as of this report, which is about, I would say, 4 weeks to date. So hopefully one dropped off would be nice. Medica's underwriting actually calls for a 73% increase to the rates. If you were to look at group experience and what they would need to adjust, it would be a 79% increase. And if you looked at the community, factoring in the community groups, it would be a 55% increase to rates. And they're stating or letting me know that a third of the renewal premiums is set to go towards these things that already exist. So a high level summary of the utilization. Medica has let us know that a majority of, you don't have a ton of high cost claims, but you have a lot of utilization. Specifically in areas of office visits, emergency room utilization, urgent care utilization. They let us know about 14% of your population utilize the ER during this reporting period. Just 50% of Medica, over 50% of Medica's benchmark for utilization. They noted that 87 out of the 185 ER visits were deemed non-emergent in nature. Right. So this is an area that we see that we can probably help with education with the members and hopefully give them some other options and resources for some of this care that would be outside of an emergency room setting. 3.4% of your members are driving 47% of the cost.
Ultimately, like they said, some of the things that we could focus on for utilization that are high in areas like emergency room and urgent care is to give more education on like the virtual care options, and maybe some wellness benefits that come with your group medical plan.
Like a nurse online, I know I've seen.
So you have options. So let's look at it this way. Emergency room, most expensive.
Right.
Then you have urgent care.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your primary care, which we all know, not the easiest to get in.
Right.
Then you have telehealth, which is not necessarily cheaper than primary care. It's more of a convenience for you to have access wherever you need to. And then you have virtual care options. These are video options. And with the Medica plan, you have two options. You have Virtuwell and an Amwell, both giving different options to access a medical professional and in different formats. Some are video, some are just text, information, whatever makes that member feel comfortable in communicating that. So hopefully we can get out some more information and communicate that so the members are aware of that option and hopefully make them feel more comfortable making those choices versus a trip to the emergency room.
Sorry, well, I'm just trying to understand. I know you have a presentation, but because this is a lot. And I remember you could call the hospital, a nurse would call you back and talk you through yes, go to the ER, yes, go to urgent care, or we're going to schedule whatever type of appointment you need. Is that
is still available?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It is still available.
Yeah.
All members have access. The number's actually back on the back of their ID card.
Okay, cool. Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
I think one of the things that we talked about though in that last time is really helping people understand what that virtual option is. I think some of us are confused about that as the telehealth option, and it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we just need to help people understand the costs of that. I like how you just described that continuum of the most expensive option to the least expensive option and when that makes the most sense for them.
Would we plan on having some kind of session to inform teachers on what that looks like?
I think it's going to be layers of communication. I think it's going to be lots of different types of things. It could be email reminders, it could be in-person sessions, it could be reminders during our professional development days. It could be lots of different options, but I think our experience has shown that they need it often in different ways for them to really understand.
Which is not unique.
Right, which is, which is with everything.
Yeah. And we want people to go, that's what you have insurance for. That's what
Correct.
makes me angry. But what was the number of how do they figure out whether or not it did require ER or should have been urgent care?
So Medica uses an algorithm put together by New York University.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know specifically how the algorithm works. I did do a little Googling just to get a better understanding.
Yeah.
So they take the information and they look at it in different ways. For example, they would deem non-emergent, now mind you, this is a broad overview, I'm sure there's more information. Immediate care not required within 12 hours is deemed non-emergent. Emergent primary care treatable, which means it probably needs to be treated within 12 hours, but it could be treated in a primary setting. There's emergent, preventable, avoidable. Again, urgent, emergency care is needed. However, do we need to promote more preventative office visits, right? Are we not getting the care on a regular basis to help avoid these types of emergency visits? And then obviously those that can't be avoided and need attention.
Okay.
Yep. Another area where there's high utilization as well is pharmacy, but this is a trend that a lot of groups are seeing. You have a higher instance of specialty pharmacy members, as well as higher specialty spend than average. So 68% of your pharmacy spend is from specialty drugs. In the non-specialty drug area, high utilization is shown in diabetic medications. It's pretty high. Now, obviously, there's medications like Mounjaro, Ozempic, they're out in the marketplace. We've all heard that they have been used off-label for weight loss. Your plan design is set up to only cover that drug if the individual has a type 2 diabetic diagnosis. And so there's prior authorization practices in place when a member gets prescribed that drug. And there's some other things that are coming, you know, some of these drugs, they're getting, biosimilars are coming in the market, which kind of help drive down the cost. Not a lot, but there are. But it seems like a new, shinier, better med comes into the market. So it is a big cost for your group.
What is the, so we have 1.5 million of our claims as a subject. What is that percentage?
Just roughly 20%, I believe.
I mean, how does that compare to the regular average?
I didn't look that up. I apologize. I am seeing though, that be a very common factor. 15 to 20% I have seen with other groups, their pharmacy utilization. But pharmacy utilization as a whole or specialty drugs, right? Which Medica notes is higher than average. I'm assuming their book of business. So I want to review what we were able to market for your group. You can see we did market out to actually 6 fully insured carriers. I did note some just said we declined to quote. They didn't exactly give me a reason why. One did let me know they don't have a narrow network solution, which points to the fact that they can't provide the savings that the Medica, HCO, or the Essentia network can provide your group. We did get one quote, which I thought was great because it gives you an idea of what these other carriers are more than likely coming up with when they went through the process and evaluated it. And I'll show you that in the next slide. We did also do a search and market the self-funded just to get an idea of, again, where does the district sit in their ability to potentially move risk to a self-funded situation. And again, we have found that it's just not a competitive as your fully insured medical. You need to do it? Oh, I got a little too crazy. Okay. I know this is not super easy to see. Hopefully it's in your packet. You guys can all take a look.
Can I just say this outside? It says out loud, so 5 declined to quote, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And 1 quoted, but is not competitive.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is up on the screen so you can, or on that spreadsheet, just so you have an idea.
Yeah, thank you.
So the first 2 columns are your current plan designs. Your passport plan design and rates are on the left of those block 2 columns, and the Essentias on the right, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So current rates with current enrollment is just about $5.5 million a year. With the increase that's going up to approximately $7.6 million a year. I do also want to call out and note that the deductible is going to change. It's going to increase by $100 in the single level. I believe it's $200, I believe, in the family.
720 to the 995.
Yep.
Yep.
That's in order to stay HSA compatible. That's our IRS guidelines and rules. They set them every year. Your out-of-pocket has to be set here in order for you to contribute to a housing. So your renewal, again, like I said, is coming in at 7.6 million. The next set, or what is referenced as alt number 1, is we did look at setting up an HRA structure to see if there would be savings to the district. What that does is we start with a base plan of 8,500 single deductible, and the district buys that down to get the member to the 34. Okay. So there's a level of risk because we never know, right, what our claims are going to be. We had our actuary look at it, we had medical look at it, and if you were to implement it based on the actuary's calculations, what they expect the district would have to cover for that space in between the 3,400 and 85, still puts you in at approximately 36.4% over what you currently have. And again, there's a level of risk in there. So there's no guarantee that that dollar amount actually that the HRA would require wouldn't actually be greater, depending on utilization. The next set is just to give you a view of what it would look like if we changed the out-of-pocket structure. If we went from the current 3,400 to the 4,000 single coverage, it still is a pretty minimal difference. It would, instead of the 38.3 with the renewal, it would be 34.1, increasing that out-of-pocket to the members. And the far right column is what United Healthcare shared with us.
Oh, nice.
And so I did not get any proposals, nothing written with dollars. United Healthcare was the only one. So I'm actually kind of thankful, because you can assume the other carriers that declined to quote probably came in roughly around these dollars. So if you were to change in a fully insured market, you're looking at another potential $2 million increase over what the renewal would be.
So looking ahead, if our claims this year match the premiums, what does that look like for next year's?
Well, it depends on what they call medical trend. They forecast, right? So on average, I see anywhere from probably 12 to 15% medical trend. It kind of varies by carrier. So they would want to account for that increase.
So at the very least, another 10 to 12% next year.
In my opinion, it's a very strong likelihood, yes.
Well, you're on record saying it, so I'll just.
David's here.
Depending on your utilization, I gotta throw that in there.
Oh,
Sorry.
It's a nice try.
Yeah. That's the skinny version. I know you guys got some other information you can look over. Do you have any other questions for me or for Bob?
I just want to, I know David and Ron and you guys have been meeting a lot since January, trying to get this down and looking at lots of different options. So I just appreciate the conversations.
Yes, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah.
Wish we had a better outcome.
Is this pretty, I mean, are you seeing this for a lot of other districts or businesses? Is there things that have been successful to somewhat curve it a little less sweet?
If I could offer this, I really look at this as an aberration, again, because I feel like, and no one's ever going to wish that savings away that we accomplished 2 years ago by making the change to Medica. But and Medica's not alone in miscalculating the healthcare inflation that we have experienced during the last 2 years. So again, it's starting out probably 10 to 12% lower than they should have, then being handicapped by that rate cap, and then having a very, very high cost claims year that we're currently experiencing. I can name in 38 years of doing this, I can on one hand tell you the number of times that we've had to deliver a rate adjustment north of 35%. It's probably happened in my career 2 times. So I do believe that it's a function of underpricing the product 2 years ago, having the rate cap, and then having an unusually high claims year. So
also had a
I don't look,
meeting on
I
that.
don't look at this as being the norm. I really don't.
At a superintendent meeting I had on Friday, there were 3 other districts that are experiencing 35 to 40% increases on theirs as well in our region.
Same, like,
I don't know if they have Medica, but that was the insurance increase that they were getting as well.
We're lucky that we can use Medica because those are the districts that are 2 hours away. They can't go to Essential only plan because Essential doesn't exist out there. At the moment, small rural hospitals don't have a narrow network plan. One thing just even to put a bigger damper on it is like when they said, hey, lock me in at 10%. A 10% lock-in is we are going to double our second biggest expense within 7 years. It's not sustainable, and that's where more discussion needs to take place on how we can handle this expense. This $1.8 million, the district is taking it, but it did stagger us. That $1.8 million is moving us from a surplus to a deficit when we go in for our budget next year.
We also had legislators at the meeting with the superintendents on Friday, and they heard us loud and clear saying there needs to be a plan for it because everybody's experiencing increases, but this is dramatic. So they heard us loud and clear on that issue. We need a statewide solution.
It's not just schools. This is just
Yeah.
everything, everybody across the board. Healthcare is just outrageous, and it's all just catastrophic insurance for everybody across the board because then we can just these deductibles are crazy.
we want people to get the care. That's like, why insurance?
I think important is to educate, as Jen mentioned, letting people know, please don't use the ERs or primary doctor. We see that a lot with the younger generations that are doing that. So if we can get those times, make it mandatory for your employees. They have to show up to these trainings. They have to understand, going to Walgreens or CVS that have the drive-throughs. Those are the more expensive places to get your prescriptions. Getting that consumerism out there. When we have to get new tires for our cars, we're gonna shop around. When we have to get an MRI, we don't. We take the piece of paper the doctor says and we go there. We can shop around. We can look to see what's most affordable and to educate people to let them know that by making those choices themselves and educating themselves, that's what's going to make a difference. Buying cheaper pencils obviously isn't going to give someone a raise, but by them making those smart decisions and educating people on the consumer for healthcare, that's what's going to help you in the long run.
The only other thing I'd add, we kind of work.
Hold on, Bob.
Jeez, cat got his.
Can't read your lips.
I think I'm gonna take the speaker with me though.
Jenny was like that. Not yet, Bob.
Sometimes squeezing. There we go. Now talk, Bob.
Oh, can you?
This is only over here, but.
Oh, can you? Yes, no? Is that better? Better? Can you
Does
hear me?
someone keep touching?
That's where you put keyboard.
The lights just came on here and they have to be on white. Yeah, it just came on. Bob, can you say something?
Is this any better?
Oh,
The way it's all on
I
us.
think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. We'll have to have
well,
somebody look.
For the country, Bob.
yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
That's a wrap.
Have a good
I
night.
think we'll wrap it, Bob. Appreciate you taking time from Florida. Ben and Jen, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
You don't have to state the rest of the page.
Okay.
Ready to run.
I'm gonna go have some drinks.
I would with these numbers too.
All right, the next order of business is the action item. Gifts, grants, and bequests. Administration recommends approval to accept gifts, grants, and bequests received in March of 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to accept the gifts, grants, and bequests. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you.
Mhm.
We appreciate it.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
There was one informational item before the presentation, just so you know that.
Expense, revenue and expenditures.
Off the rails. Different page. And then the informational items, Fund 10 revenue and expenditure preliminary reports. Over that report with us. Has lots of money in the coffers right now, but
Yep, a little bit.
Motion to accept the budget insurance committee report.
motion second to accept the budget insurance committee report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So you know, people that are listening, so they can hear everything loud and clear, so I think if I met his. Everybody watching can hear. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Personnel Negotiations Committee. Action items. Administration recommends approval of the April 2026 new hires and separations report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the new hires and separation report from April 2026. You will notice that there are a number of new entries listed in red for your perusal.
So that's two, isn't there, I thought Mr. Hip was on there. Oh, yeah, he is.
Yes.
So two math teachers. Got Molly, are those being posted then, or you said you're gonna keep it? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Tough to find good math teachers, so thank you.
And to see a long time paraprofessional, Clarice Peterson, is retiring. Well, she's been with us many years. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, Catherine, I gotta wait for you. Administration recommends releasing Lauren Miller, speech language pathologist from SHS from her 25-26 school year contract per her request, effective March 20, 2026, with the liquidated damages provision waived.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends approval of the updated job descriptions and IT restructure for the following positions in the professional category. We had a presentation by our IT director, Dan Whitaker, explaining the proposed changes to the department structure attached. We will take each one of these separately. Technology Specialist 1.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Technology Specialist 2.
Should you approve?
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Network Administrator.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends
You forgot.
Students.
Student Information Systems Coordinator.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Bad night. Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends approval of the changes to the employee handbook for the 2026-2027 school year per the attached summary.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I did update that language with the sick time. It was a little bit more clear.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration and the Personnel Negotiations Committee recommend the salary increase for teachers for the 2026-27 school year as listed below in the attachment. Full salary increase was ratified by the SFT on March 26, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none,
Nick just need to, yeah.
Abstained.
one abstention. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration and the Personnel Negotiations Committee recommend the salary increase for support staff for the 2026-27 school year as listed on the attachment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration and the Personnel Negotiations Committee recommend the salary increase for the hourly professional staff for the 26-27 school year as listed in the attachment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration and the Personnel Negotiations Committee recommend the newly created salary schedule for salaried professional staff for the 2026-27 school year as listed below in the attachment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration and the Personnel Negotiations Committee recommend the salary increase for the administrative staff for the 2026-27 school year as listed below in the attachment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to accept the Personnel and Negotiations Committee report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Operations Committee action items. Administration recommends approval of Resolution 26-01, establishing the attendance area for Superior Learning Academy for the 2026-2027 school year as submitted.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Informational items at the Committee of the Whole meeting on April 13th, Director Corey Karen provided an update on the new direct. We introduced Corey that evening.
And his name's spelled wrong, just so we know. It's 2 R's.
2 R's. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be fixed. Yeah.
Here, Karen.
Oh, Karen, sorry. Good point.
I was wondering the same thing, actually.
He did provide us with updates on the Bryant School project and the middle school project.
Motion to accept the Operations Committee report.
Second.
Motion and seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Teaching and Learning Committee informational items. The following updates were provided at the Committee of the Whole on April 13th, 2026. Jennifer Willoughby, Director of Early Childhood and Family Education, gave a presentation on the Indian education. Kate Tesh, Director of Continuous Improvement and Assessment, provided us with a state assessment update, and then Amy provided us with the yearly schedule of when state testing is conducted in our school district.
Motion to accept the teaching and learning committee report.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Just a reminder of the powwow that Jen talked about.
Thank you. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Policies and Rules Committee. Action items. Administration proposes the approval of changes to the following policies based on the Neola recommendation. Administration recommends approval of the first reading of policy 3340, grievance procedure. This policy is being updated to match the current Act 10 laws.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First reading of policy 1213, administrators, student supervision and welfare. The policy establishes a standard of care to protect student safety by clearly defining behavioral boundaries for all staff. As required by 2025 Wisconsin Act 57, the updated language mandates that parents be notified of sexual misconduct reports by 5 p.m. on the same day or noon the next day if the report is received on the next calendar day. A new comprehensive optional section on appropriate staff and student relationships further safeguards students by explicitly prohibiting boundary invasion such as grooming, inappropriate digital contact, or unauthorized transport. Violations of this policy may result in the disciplinary action up to and including termination and may be reported to external agencies as required by law.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Amy, how are people being trained on Act 57? Or you said we're just waiting for additional resources, right?
Yeah, they typically will give us some resources, either through the Superintendent's Association or Neola, or there are some legal agencies that we partner with through the Superintendent's Association as they provide those to us. So.
It means a slippery slope. Like, yeah. Tough. Okay, thank you.
You guys gonna put out new training for the Act.
Title IX.
The grooming one.
Oh, awesome. Thank
So,
you.
And then we'll add it to our public school works as a module that everybody would have to complete. Cool. So that's, you have to have that in place by the start of the next school year.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. It's helpful to know.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First reading of policy 3213 for the professional staff, student supervision and welfare, and the same language up in the 1213 is included.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First reading of policy, or really this is the second reading. Policy 8462, child abuse and neglect. This policy establishes a comprehensive framework for the mandatory identification and immediate reporting of child abuse or neglect. It requires all staff to complete Department of Public Instruction, DPI training within their first 6 months and every 5 years thereafter. A critical update aligned with 2025 Wisconsin Act 57 integrates specific reporting requirements for sexual misconduct by staff members carrying severe disciplinary consequences for a failure to report. By strictly prohibiting investigative delays by staff, the policy ensures that law enforcement and child welfare agencies can intervene immediately to protect students and preserve evidence. The changes are required for policy compliance with Wisconsin Act 57.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, sorry, because I nerd out on this. So like, I see, yeah, it says what Molly said, but like, this does happen in a lot of school districts, the investigative part of it. So like, what are the consequences? Because last year in Minnesota, they ended up passing, criminal charges for schools that would not follow, like if they pressured someone not to report or if they were interfering with the investigation. I don't know if Wisconsin has something akin to that, but like, how would the district handle if someone did try to go on their own and investigate it versus follow the policy?
Well, I think part of it has to do with the training that they're,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this when it comes to all cases of reporting child abuse. Like when you have, when you suspect it,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't be doing your own investigating at that point. That's work that has to be done by experts. And so,
Yes.
I mean, I would say if we're providing training and people violate and don't follow the expectations through that training, then there would potentially be consequences depending on the nature of what happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've just seen it happen in even local schools. So like, that's why I worry about like, what are the consequences, I guess, but I suppose it's going to
I think it's
pertain
gonna
to the
really
situation.
what happens. Cause like we have progressive discipline, so it could be a warning, it could be a written discipline, it could be time without pay, it could be immediate termination, depending on, you know, I think it depends on what happens, but I think we've got that progressive discipline kind of process in place to kind of help.
And then I wonder, like with the policy 1213 and 3213, violations of the policy may result in disciplinary action. I don't know if we had to have language like that in there, but
Mm-hmm.
it would be good to be consistent.
So is that handbook language there? Like the how, right?
Molly, we have not added handbook language regarding this policy, right? Correct. Now, one of the things Molly has talked about doing is taking a look at the WASB handbook over the summer months and seeing where our current handbook deviates from the WASB recommendations and bringing that forward to you guys probably in the next few months. That could be something we discover in that review that we need to do some updating because we've had some policy changes.
I just think about like the cell phone contact, right? Like needed and also, you know, not good in a lot of situations. So, okay. Sorry, thank you so much.
No, that's okay. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to accept the policies and rules committee report.
I'll second that.
Motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Other reports by members of the board. So it's not a report, but it's a recognition and a thank you. Nick Schumacher is serving his last meeting with us, with our group. Certainly appreciated the 3 years we've all been able to work with you, Nick. You bring some humor. You bring some enlightenment. You bring a wealth of knowledge. And most importantly, you bring a perspective from not only a community member, Nick, but as a parent. And that's one thing that we all have to be cognizant of is the voice of our parents in our community. Can't thank you enough for the time you spent with us.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Nick.
Steve. Yeah, and I'll just say thank you to all you guys. I appreciate grateful for the relationships. This is cultured for sure. Just to be a part of it, and I'm thankful for what I've learned too. Like it's been a lot in 3 years, especially that first year. But you know, having an understanding of what really happens within the school district. I think sometimes as community members, we can live in a vacuum district or within our local, you know, area. You know, being able to see and understand, like, there's a lot of districts that struggle with the same things we do, right? It's just, it's a vacuum, living a vacuum thing where it's just, we feel like it's just, you know, about us. So I have an appreciation for that perspective now that I didn't have before. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports by members of our board? District and program highlights. Anything else?
Two things to mention, we are scheduling spring school board visits in May. So look for those from Ann. We've got our staff development day, our last one of the year, coming up on Friday. We had the honor of having the Superior Douglas County Leadership Group in our middle school last week. We have them come in annually, and it's a different group of community leaders who come in and learn about the different education systems. They visit Maple, Superior School District, UWS, and the North Tech. And so we had an opportunity to show off the middle school, and it went really well. And then lastly, we are kind of in that final stretch of summer school planning and registration. So there's a lot happening in May coming up.
Reminder to board members, if you're planning on being at the graduation, to make sure and let Ann know if you haven't done so already.
Salute the Service is coming up.
Service.
May 18th,
Yes. It's the third Monday in May.
steel trap.
Yeah, high school.
I saw that. That's different.
The location, yes.
Platform, show the high school off. All right, consideration of bills and pre-approved bills.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to pay the bills. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Yay.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Thank you and good night.
Nick. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.